All right. Hey, everyone. This is the Cryptolorian from the Well community, and welcome to our project showcase series. Today, we have a very, very special guest on, photographer, investor, and founder of the Artverse, Rachel Wood. Rachel, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here and to be able to help promote the Artverse because it is something I am very passionate about. And it's just incredible that you've reached out about this. So thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. I mean, when we were talking a few minutes ago, I was saying that I came I hadn't really got into Twitter Spaces that much. We've been doing a lot of Discord native stuff for years now, and we jumped into the Clubhouse scene when it was a thing, and then Twitter Spaces started, and some of my adventures into the spaces, I had the chance to listen to you talk about the Artverse, and also and see how many people were excited about what you were doing. So we're the pleasure is really all ours, because when you do talk about it, you speak so passionately. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I sometimes get speechless because I get overwhelmed with how much I love my Artverse holders and what Artverse could mean to the greater NFT community in the future. So yeah, let's get going.
All right, all right. Yeah, just to give people, so there we have a pretty robust community of collectors and artists and photographers and enthusiasts, if you will, of NFTs. And just to kind of get people familiar with you, can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am a photographer. I've only actually been doing photography for about 3 years now. Back in 2019, that's when I first bought my camera, and I had set out around the world with a backpack, and I was just taking pictures. Um, I I know a lot of people are like, "Well, why didn't you go study it?" And I was like, "I was studying it, but I was studying it in real life experiences. I didn't really want to go back to college. I already got my bachelor's degree. And so I was like, I'm just going to take this money and I'm going to learn out there. And so I did. And it was a lot of work, but I was very, very lucky to be able to do that before COVID. And then COVID hit. And so I came back to the US, started my own photography company, bought a house, tried to settle down, but I was still traveling so much here in the US. And I was like, okay, I guess my wandering feet are not yet tired. So I continued to travel safely within COVID. Spend a lot of time in Iceland, and I actually got a job offer in Iceland. So I've been making moves to finish things up here in the US so that I can move to Iceland.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that really resonates with me because the yeah, I totally get it that starting again after you go through college and get a bachelor's degree and starting on a different subject. Holy cow, who wants to do that? I think it's so much better and so much more gratifying that you just kind of do your passion, and learn your passion. Because honestly, you don't sometimes, and I don't want to talk bad about the educational field, but sometimes you don't really need to have guidance. You need to discover it yourself. you know
For something like art, especially where it's art is emotion, and for me, photography was a vehicle for me to basically capture my travels. I was a traveler long before I was a photographer. I've been traveling solo since I was like 13, internationally. And so it was just a natural progression of my travels to reach into photography and use it as a way to just bring that forward more. Um, but like you said, I do value education, and essentially that's what Art First is to me, is going to be an educational center point within the NFT space. But that's just a little plug-in for future questions.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. And I just want to throw some of your work up because it's you could you you're just a fantastic photographer. And maybe just tell us a little bit about how you jumped into NFTs, because you said you traveled then COVID hit. You're teaching yourself how to do photography. And then how did you actually learn about NFTs and how did you get involved with that?
So many of my friends in this place, and I won't name drop them, but they're quite big, and they came in right at the beginning. And kind of like many people who are probably listening, I saw my friends' successes, and I was like, "Wow, that's amazing!" But that makes sense because they're big in Web 2. But they were encouraging me to continue going forward and to continue pushing into the space because ego wasn't a part of NFTs. And to me, that was intriguing to hear that maybe someone as small as me, because I'm not a very big person in Web 2. I have a tiny Instagram account. I've never been on Twitter until December of this year, of last year, sorry, December of last year. And I had such a crazy portfolio of photographs that I feel were still me learning. I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not in a good spot. I'm not what you would call a success story. But after, learning more about the technology of NFTs, about the blockchain, about really what was happening, I got so excited because I felt that this was a moment where small people like me could come into this space and actually be celebrated for all of our differences and our sort of particularities and our uniquenesses versus being big. Um, and I think that's what's really driven me forward was that curiosity first in what was happening, as well as the sort of inner want to be a part, to have a say, to have my voice be shaping the space as we are creating this space for artists within the metaverse. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow. This is exactly why I wanted to talk to you. Just I'm just going to say it. So I don't usually reach out to folks to talk to them. But when I heard you talk in the spaces and just now, it really, really resonates with me. So I am there with you. I got in a little bit earlier, so but I felt the same energy that you did. Just being able to be a person who's always kind of dabbled in Photoshop, or
Mhm.
whatnot, and make graphics and stuff, but back in the 90s, who would have thought that digital art was a thing, and fast forward to now, or even, photography's been it's been out of this world. It's been fantastic. But there's always problems with Web 2, and then coming to this space and being, it's not about ego, right? It's about, doing your thing and creating your work and having an audience that you may have not had, and even sitting next to somebody who, quote unquote, is big, in a different space, right? You could be their peer, right? Isn't that
Right?
wild?
Oh my goodness. Like, I've tried not to fangirl, but sometimes it just happens where I'm like, I'm on stage and I'm asking questions to this person I've followed for years. Like, oh my gosh. Um, but I think that kind of led me to my first Genesis piece. Was this aspect of I got into the space and I saw people just pushing the boundaries with their art. And it was like art that they've never really shared before on like Instagram because it wasn't part of their brand. But suddenly they were having incredible recognition for all of these different aspects of who they were as artists. Because I want to say most artists, we're not just one kind of artist. We love the creative fields. We love to create. We love to just experiment and learn, um, and just try new things. And that's what led to my Genesis piece was I'm a photographer, but my first piece of the blockchain was actually a digital composite from images that I did not take, which was, really risky, but I am incredibly proud of myself for doing it. And I'm so bullish on myself. And I priced it very high. It still has not sold, but that's okay with me. I have gone on to make quite a bit more with my other art, but I'm very proud of myself to have stepped into this space with this promise to myself, essentially, that I am continually going to be more than just a photograph. I'm going to be more than just how many likes I can get on a post. And to me, that's what my genesis was a promise of constantly pursuing the creative fields.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it's, I was just on talking to a few other artists, and it's not that what was I saying? I was saying that it just hasn't found the right person yet, and the space is growing every day, and we're going to have so many people. Adoption is going to go crazy, and yeah, you'll eventually sell it. But yeah, I'm proud of you too, because honestly, you don't have to do one thing, right? You could be whatever you want to be as an artist, and you could explore different things. And if you're not feeling it, you said it was emotional, and I do agree with you. There's days where you feel like, I want to get into After Effects or something. I want to take photography and go crazy in After Effects and see what happens. And you can do that. You want to do 3D modeling, you could do that. You could do something on your phone. Why not? Why limit yourself as an artist? And I think it's good. It's a very good perspective to have. I love it.
Yeah, I kind of describe it as be a tree, because even during these low moments, even during when the market is crashing or you don't have any sales, that's the time you continue to like spread your roots and build a good foundation. And I know a lot of people say build community, but I like to say that with the caveat, but with intention. Numbers, again, don't lead to sales. Even if you have a giant following, that doesn't mean you're going to make sales. So when you build a community, build it with an authentic intention, and make sure you know that it's quality, not quantity, that really helps you in this space. Because we don't want that Web 2. Those are the problems of Web 2. We want Web 3, which is fixing those problems. So everyone who's here, who's listening, who's interested, who's curious, who's art loving, you have a chance to really change that narrative of not being like Web 2. So
Absolutely. So you're in your journey. You're releasing some NFTs. You've kind of got the gist of how this space works, right? So what led you over to creating the Artverse?
Yeah, so in my artistic journey as an NFT artist, I've been experimenting with different things. I've said it before, but whenever someone tells me don't do something, I typically want to do it. But I think all of us are slight rebels. I mean, the fact that we're all here in the NFT space with no guarantee of like any sort of outcome or success, it's just this kind of promise and hope of making it big. We essentially are stepping off the track of Web 2 into an unknown realm, but it has infinite possibilities. And so when people were saying, oh, Rachel, don't lower your prices. Oh, Rachel, you got to wait until you sell your first minted pieces before you can mint more. I was like, fuck that. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Like, children be warned. Yeah, I was like, just F that. Like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do it with intention. I'm going to do it with knowledge of exactly my goals and how they align with them. So, long-term thinking, I was like, okay, I know myself enough that I need to be able to adapt to what is happening in the space. And at the moment, I saw a lot of people weren't making sales, and they were still telling me, no, price it high, you can hold, you can wait for your collector. And I was like, I want wins, even if they're small. So I released my first edition piece, and that was Wag Me Together, the two penguins holding hands with the rainbow. It's from my trip to Antarctica. It sold out within hours. I was tiny. I had like barely 2,000 followers on Instagram, and I was like blown away. And that started this movement of me just doing what I wanted in the space. Yes, that piece, Wag Me Together. I know Wag Me is overused and very controversial, but I put the word together because I felt that if we all work together, we can make it. And, making it is different for everyone, but we'll be together. And I feel that has been an invaluable aspect of Web3, of Twitter, is like we are all now connected. Um, but what led to the Artverse was after this Wag Me Together sellout, I got confidence. I started to believe more in myself as an artist and in the space that small people could make a difference. So, fast forward 2 months, I was hitting a lull like everyone else with sales. I was making more than most people, but I was still like, not enough. I have that hunger of needing to do more. And so I minted my first image I'd ever sold as a print, which was the wall, is that Patagonia Fitzroy image. And I priced it pretty high. It was on my adoption day. I priced it pretty high to be reflective of the date. But then I was like, you know what? I really need money. And I've said it before, so I'm not, it's not proud, but I needed gas money to get to where I need to go. I live in a van and I could not afford to fill it up to get to my friend's house in Colorado. I was stuck somewhere in Kansas or something. So I was like, okay, I know this piece means a lot to me, but I'm going to set that reserve to point one because that's all I need to get to my next destination. That's all I needed to get my van, myself, to a friend who had Wi Fi, who had a shower, who had electricity. And Dan Hawk immediately placed a bid. And I was so incredibly thankful. I was willing to let that image go for point one, even though it meant a lot to me as an artist. My needs kind of trumped that. So putting that ego aside, I put it down, started a bid, and then suddenly people were bidding on it. And it was like the most stressful, exciting 24 hours of my life. And eventually went to Miyamo Matt, the collector, and he sent me a message being like, Rachel, I was not going to spend that much money on you, but it was because the community was so supportive of you, was seeing the value in you, that I ended up spending more. And I was like, oh my gosh, it wasn't because of me and my marketing or because my shop was just so epically awesome. It was really because of my community.
Yeah.
And that really is a testament to the social scalability of what Web3 is. And I was like, I need to pay my community back. And that led to this idea of, well, what are artists struggling with? And that's trying to be seen and heard within the algorithms of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shilling all the time. We're going into spaces all the time to talk about ourselves. We're posting about our collections every day, hoping it's in front of someone who's going to buy it. We all know that's pretty crappy. It's awful. So Artverse is my way of connecting those artists and collectors together. As a collector too, because that's how I first started in the space. I spend a lot of time scrolling trying to find art, and I love the hunt of finding artists. I love that. But if I have to wade through all the noise of Twitter, by the time I find an artist I really want to support, pretty much the work that I want has already been sold. It's like collector's FOMO. Oh my gosh. I'm like, do you want to take an offer? Like, oh, it's awful. So as a collector, I was like, how can I bridge the gap between these two aspects of myself as an artist and collector? I was like, wow, let's just cut out that noise, cut out the algorithms, and just start connecting people so that we can focus on understanding each other, the collectors and artists, on a human level. And the artist can forget about marketing all the time and forget that their success relies on marketing, and then continue creating. So I think I've totally went off on your question, but the Artverse came from that idea that we have this issue, this Web2 issue, essentially. How can we fix it? How can we streamline that process? How can we give voice to these artists? Where there's this quote by Nelson Mandela, and I've said it before, and I'll say it so many times, but essentially what he's saying is, don't yell louder, improve your words. And that's the first step of the Artverse, is to be able to have artists find the right words, find the way to talk about themselves, find a way where they can get their messaging across, get their stories across, get their life across, and having collectors listen to that in a very human, equal way versus, collectors, artists. We really want to strengthen those communications between those two, so it's not so different in power dynamics.
Wow. Boy, it almost leaves me speechless, but there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time I hear you talk about it, I'm very excited, because I have to say, I wrote down some notes as you were talking. So that drive, right? So you came into the space, you started getting into NFTs, you had that drive that you had to do something more. And man, that just hits home. I'm the same way, same exact way. And the other thing that I found interesting is those posts. So that's the grind, right? There was a time when Twitter was there wasn't Spaces, right? There was a Clubhouse. There wasn't really any way to communicate aside from Twitter and Discord. Okay, so back in the day, which wasn't that long ago, but I feel old now. Yeah, it was the grind, and that grind, it stopped you from being. It wasn't fun, right? It's not fun. I mean, it is fun to talk in spaces. It is fun to communicate. It is fun to talk to people, etc., and get to know them. But without seeing somebody, without hearing somebody, you just become another post in a Discord, and when things were really taking off with art, a couple of years ago, it was like everyone was jumping into Rarible. They were posting in the show post thread, and then it's easy to get lost. And I'm like you, so I like the hunt as a collector. I like going through, I like seeing the art, and I like finding that cool piece. And I've bought stuff like that. But yeah, that connection is just so hard to make. And when I hear you talking about the Artverse, I'm thinking, what a brilliant concept. And it solves the issue that, like you said, Web 2 is the issue, right? And we're in another level of depth in Web3, and we're in another level of the social aspect into all that we do. And like you said, the ego's out, and people could stand face to face and hand to hand with their heroes, per se, and connecting with them is the tough part. So yeah, I think that this is a fantastic idea. I'm going to put it on the screen. A fantastic process and project, and it's something that's needed. It's something that solves something, and the space needs it. So I'm excited. Tell me more about the intricate details, because I know that some people are saying, okay, the Artverse, we want to collect people together, artists, collectors. Tell us more about the details of it.
Okay, so the details. One thing I did want to mention was that the Artverse is not just for photographers like me. The Artverse is for all one-of-one artists in the Metascape. The reason why I named it Artverse was it's to help establish art in the metaverse /Artverse. And so the logo, which is that diamond, it's just like kind of a nod to diamond handing. Secondary sales, especially for one-of-one artists, is very slow right now. It's not yet matured enough for that. But I want to essentially promote the fact that art lovers, art collectors, will be diamond handing all of this work. It's not something that they can just flip right away for a lot of money. I don't have anything against PFP projects. I think they have great, great potential in the space and in real life as well. But as a one-of-one artist, I also have to promote myself in this space, and that is diamond handing my work, connecting it and putting it into the people's wallets that value me as an artist. So after that, it's kind of the nitty grittiness of Artverse. So what is Artverse? Everyone's like, okay, connecting artists, collectors, cool. How do we do that? Because there's not that many collectors. One way that Artverse is working towards is to onboard people into the metaverse as art collectors. Because the reason why there's a lot of disparity is because a lot of art collectors just haven't come into the space yet. And so Artverse is a very sort of intro level way for people to start collecting and start connecting truly with artists. And that's going to be through websites, Discord, spaces, newsletters, email letters. There's going to be so much involved. Don't know how much I can like really talk about it because everything's like moving parts, but I'm in discussions with galleries. I'm in discussions with virtual galleries, other partnerships. It's going to be kind of this melding of in real life support and content as well as the metaverse. So artists and collectors, it's just a small part of what Artverse is because, we operate on so many different levels. The Artverse is multi-leveled. So here we have building a community of art lovers. I really do want to promote this. Artverse, the utility is art. And it's not my art. It's everyone's art. And whether that's, pottery, whether that's oil painting, whether that's digital rendering or photography, it's all one-of-one art, in my opinion. And so I think most of us are here for that. That's what we're here for. And then the second point, amplifying artists' voices. To me, we're lost in the algorithms. We're lost in the noise. And for the first time in such a long time, or maybe the first time ever, people are interested in our stories. And it's beyond the cute caption. It's beyond just the words you post underneath the picture. It's who you are as an artist. Because like we said, well, I can just screenshot and save or mint it myself. But the value of that NFT comes from the original artist, is owning that original file. So why is owning that original file so important? It's because it's connected to that artist. And who is that artist? That's where we get into the artist voices. That's where we get into that value and community of, sorry, at my parents' place. So lots of dogs right now. So amplifying, but also finding someone's voice in the space is a lifelong skill. We have been working with that with Max Scobell. He's worked with many of the titans in this space. He's also an incredible artist, NFT artist, and he's actually working with the Artverse artists to formulate their sort of elevator pitches, formulate how they can talk about their art. And that's an incredible just utility, I guess, of being a part of the Artverse. We have these big names, we have these small names, all wanting to help the artist. And my job is to really try to facilitate that so that it can happen, so that artists feel like they're being heard, so that they feel confident enough to go forward in this space, to really reach out to collectors, to reach out to each other. To me, amplifying artists' voices is really improving their voices in the space because we don't need to show louder. We don't need to show more. We just need to show better. And that leads to simplifying that artist collector experience. I don't think we should ever give up on Twitter. I have so much fun on it. But I also, when I want to say buy cooking things, I don't go to any store. I go to a cooking store. I go to Amazon. Like I know exactly where I want to go for specific things when I have a want. When someone wants to buy art, where do they go right now? They go to Twitter, they go to OpenSea, they go to Foundation. Like, where do new people to the crypto NFT space go? They don't know.
Yeah.
So for me, Artverse is a way for me to start building up this center point of art that people can be like, oh, art in the metaverse, Artverse, let's go there. Let's go see what's happening. Let's see the work that people are doing. And it's going to be a hugely diverse, beautiful marketplace eventually. But yes. And then lastly, sorry, getting a little off topic. Lastly, exclusive access to artist drops. So like I said before, when I find an artist and I realize that I've missed out on collecting maybe their genesis or the piece that I want from them, I get frustrated. And then I'm like, oh, and then I lose the fact that they might have dropped another piece I might have wanted to collect, but Twitter just never showed me. So what collectors get being a part of the Artverse is that they get exclusive access of pre-public knowledge of people's drops. I have a couple people on Super Rare who are giving access to the collectors, their information, the images before they actually mint them, so that these collectors have a chance to get in first before the public does. And I love that. I love that as a collector. I love that as a human being. I like having like that white list, although I know that's a um, not the correct PC word. I like having that, what do you call it, pre-access list.
Yes, the allow list.
The
Yep.
allow list, that's the word. And that's what Artverse does, but for art.
Man, that's fantastic. And I think it's really cool that and so talking about something that went down, so you released an edition size, right? Which is almost like a pass, if you will, or a badge that you're in the Artverse. But you're not limiting it to one side because and I like this. I like this. There's not, and it's like why people put labels on themselves. I'm an artist. I'm a collector. I'm all kinds of things, and I don't want to label myself. So pushing this badge out where you have like these two worlds that are hitting, and everybody can be a part of the same kind of artverse, if you will, and then you could benefit as an artist or a collector or as both, right? To be a part of this, and I think that that's brilliant. And I love the idea of pushing away all the fluff and just getting straight to the artists and the art and learning about the artists, because in this space that's the most valuable thing in my opinion, right?
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here, getting to talk to you, getting to talk to artists throughout the years, for me has been the most valuable experience that I could take away from. I wouldn't know if I were to go into a store and look at prints, right? Or if I were to go to an art gallery and look at some art, I wouldn't know the person. I wouldn't know if it was an AI that generated this piece, or if it was a child that was 5, or if it was someone that was 83. I wouldn't know anything about that. But it's the only thing I'm going to see is the art and say, okay, cool. But from my experience with this space, I get to sit and I get to listen. I get to see. I get to learn who the artist is and who the photographer is, and that's the most valuable thing in my eyes. So putting this together is just great. I absolutely love it.
Thanks. I was just listening to Ben Scar in a space, and he said it really well. He was like, even if my art never sells for anything else, even if I don't make any more money, I have valued these connections I have made in this space so much more than my sales. And that's really true, at least for many of us. Sure, money is great. We love sales. I mean, to be able to make a living off my art in a way that's more sustainable and not starving artists, yeah, that's freaking awesome. But also just the connections I've made with other artists, with other people, with other art lovers, with collectors, with so many different people around the world. I feel like it has pushed me to grow far faster in the past 4 months than in the past 3 years, traveling the world. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
Absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to put on the screen. So this is, tell us a bit about this one of one art gallery that you have here that you're developing, and what we can expect.
Yeah, so right now, this is the first thing. I am not a website person. I'm not a technology person, but this is my first website. So it's limited to what I can do right now. But I do have very big plans to change it into a marketplace in the near future. If you scroll over each of the images with your mouse, yeah, you can see the reserve or the price of these images, and you can be taken straight to the listings of them. These are all submitted from Artverse artist. I mean, look at that shot. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I
Wow.
need like zero point 0.9 ETH in my wallet right now.
Wait. So I got, this is the first website that you've ever designed?
Yes. You can share them, and you can also heart at the bottom of each of them the ones you like,
Wow.
which is really exciting.
So I'm an old school website designer
Oh,
from
cool.
years ago, and
I
I
need your
must say
help.
this looks fantastic. For being your first site, this is great. This is great.
Well, I signed up for Wix like 2 weeks ago. Thank you. But there will be more searchable aspects to the website soon. There'll be more categories, be more organized instead of just, a wall of art. I personally love walls of art, but, for a consumer to really ultimately get to those sales, it's great. Also, it just gives another way for artists to be able to have their art up and have a little bit more to say about themselves um, before you just click on their work and buy it. Uh, but like you can see, we have digital art, we have landscape, we have travel, we have black and white. I mean, I am so is the word yeah, I'm so stinking proud and honored that so many incredible artists are part of the Artverse. I mean, if you look at these, if you look at their portfolios, um, there's such a wide breadth of skills and genres and just methods. Like to be able to connect with these artists for the past week or two has been incredible. I mean, it's been so much fun, and I can't wait to onboard more collectors into the space so that they can also just embrace how diverse and I can't say keep saying incredible, spectacular these artists are. I mean, they're hungry, they're excited, they're curious, they're pushing their bounds even if they have no sales. They're pushing their creativity. They're continuously making art. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, rug pulls are a thing." I'm like, artists, we might take some breaks, to go out and create or to, fill our cups, but we're always coming back because we've made art long before we've been able to sell it. Most people have been making these sorts of art for decades.
Mhm.
Um, and we're here for it. We're ready to just share with the world and with each other what we're very passionate to do. And it is such an honor to be able to have the center point, have this sort of what do you call community of artists who are ready to take it forward. And I think that's the energy I want in the Artverse to bring it forward into the metaverse is that energy, that just wave of love for art and what we do. Because I said it in a post, the earth without art is eh. If you
I
look
d-
at the spelling.
yes, I did see that, and it was a beautiful picture, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Such a beautiful picture. But yeah, I totally agree with you on so many levels. This is fan. I love the way this is set up. Honestly, this is, you're looking at the art. It could be a bunch of different people's art, right? And I love that you can share it. I love you can heart it, that you can get to the listing. There's a description here, and it's very easy to get to. And I think that what you're actually describing of wanting to do, I think that you've already starting to accomplish it, and it's awesome to see. So where do you see your, this is, the generic question, where do you see this project within, I'm not going to say 5 years because crypto doesn't work that way, right? I'm going to say like
5 months. It's basically 5 years.
yeah, 5 months. That sounds better. Let's do 5 months.
So 5 months. I do want to elevate this website to be more where artists have their own profiles, kind of like NFT photography, but more for all different kinds of art. We're going to have different sort of art. So here on this page, we have the editions. These are all editions. And all of these prices actually are not public prices. These are prices that Artverse collectors get to buy these editions. The public price are generally higher. So that's a little plugin for collectors where you are able, it's not that you get them on sale. I don't want to lead with that. You get them at a price point that honors the relationship the artists and collectors have in the Artverse. Not all artists are giving like a lower price, but they are giving first access. So they are giving first notice. And as a collector, I've I think I've collected many of these already myself because I'm like, oh yeah, I want this one. Oh yeah, I want this one. And it just helps with the collecting aspect. And then I reach out to the artist and I get to like learn a little bit more about them and really connect with them. And it's going beyond that transaction. I've collected from many of these people already. I've collected from them multiple times in some cases. I continue to talk to them in DMs. They continue to support me as an artist as well. It's not just a transaction. And that's like the beautiful part of this. So in 5 months, I would like to revamp all of this website to be more interactive, to have more of those integrated galleries, to have more profiles, more easily accessible ways to contact the artist and not just have their art up here. There will be, I'm working with a couple of the artists. They are currently traveling, and eventually there will be sections where you can come to the website and follow an artist or a group of artists as they're making art in real time, essentially. So with very often, no, updates, weekly updates, essentially, of what they're doing so that you can eventually see the final product. Therefore, you already know all the work that went into that piece of work. So you know how we go to Instagram and we share our stories, we share those reels, behind the scenes, work in progress, but that never leads to sales. On the Artverse website and within our Discord and other future platforms, we hope to basically give a platform to those artists where people are actually invested in learning how they're creating their art. And then by the time they actually mint a piece, likely someone will have already understood that value for that piece. And to me, that's so much more beneficial than writing a very long description or thread on Twitter. Bring them along, bring those collectors, bring those other artists, inspire each other, really connect on a human level as we're creating. And yeah, that's just a beautiful thing, which I hope will be all set and ready in less than 5 months, but yeah.
Wow, that sounds absolutely fantastic. It hits all the good spots for me because I really think that this could be the place where people come to find art. And I love the idea of a marketplace eventually, and you're taking a lot of what people are saying. They're saying, I want this, I want that out of a marketplace, and you're a part of the community, so you're listening to the community. You know what I'm saying? And I hear that in your voice. I hear that as you speak, and I think that that's really important. And I agree with you 100%. The artist process. I was just saying this earlier, which is hilarious. But the artist process, we used to do artist process videos a long time ago. And that's how, as a collector, so there's two ways I buy stuff. I either buy stuff that I think is really cool. And it doesn't even matter who you are. I just think it's cool, right? And then the other thing is you show me, like I've seen under the hood on let's say George Boya or Reinhard Schmidt, right? And I've looked at their Photoshop or Skeeny. Oh, geez, Skeeny can do animations like you wouldn't believe. And I've looked at the
I
Photoshop
just
and
need more ETH.
I know, I need more ETH, and I've looked at the layers, and I'm saying, this, oh, are you kidding me with these layers? Like Genuine Human, when he shows like his, his yearly piece that he does for pixel art, there's like 500 layers, and I'm going, and they're all like, there's little animations within the layers. I'm going, are you kidding me right now? I can get like, 4 layers or whatever. But you got like 500, and you can keep track of all this stuff. It's just insane. And that level of detail and that experience that you're kind of like walking with them as they go and do, I think is super important. And I love that you're taking that route, because it does show that you understand, what consumers want. Because to be honest with you, I could go to Amazon and I could buy a print, but I get nothing out of it emotionally. I get absolutely nothing. And that's not what Web3 should be. It's not what NFTs should be. It should be this emotional connection.
Well, art is emotion.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
talk to any artist, they pretty much will always say it came out of some sort of emotional state.
Man, yeah, exactly. 100%, 100%. So I want to be. I know you got something to do. I'm actually skipping my my IRL work right now to do this, so don't tell anybody. So I wanted to ask you: is there anything that you want to tell us before we go about the Artverse? And I will. So don't worry about posting links and stuff, because I will send everybody the links and everything, and make sure that everyone knows how to get there. But yeah, tell us what you'd like to tell us about the Artverse before we leave.
I mean, there's so much, but I guess for those who are interested in the Artverse, my DMs are always open. I'm not very quick at responding, but I try to get to everyone, because I feel that everyone has been so open to me in the space that I just want to continue paying that forward. I don't want to gatekeep information. And Artverse is not about gatekeeping. It's about making it manageable for me to start it and to scale it. So we are expanding next month. June 15th is the tentative date for the next sort of expansion for membership into the Artverse. And it's also my birthday. So I have something very big planned for that day. But I also know there's a lot of building to be done before then and after then. So if anyone forgets this whole thing, just remember June 15th. That's going to be a big Artverse day.
Your birthday, which is fantastic, and a big Artverse day. And so someone asked the audience, I want to just get this out before we go. And to be a part of, so to list, I guess list is the right, or to showcase your work, it would be the right way to use to describe it. How do you, as an artist, how are you able to showcase your work?
As an artist into the Artverse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you hold an addition to the Artverse, you get access to the Discord, and that's where most of the content is. We have collectors in there who are going to be dropping some content in alpha. I know with me in spaces, I forget things that are told in spaces, even if I write them down. Mm-hmm. But if I had a place where I could go and look that piece of alpha up again, that's basically where the Discord comes in. And once you are part of the Artverse, you can submit your work via forums. Eventually, you'll be able to have your own profile that you can update yourself on the website. And there will be different sort of games and featurettes and sort of spotlights. I do travel a lot, so I was like, well, maybe I can travel to artists around the world because the Artverse is infinite. But that's a future thing. But yes, there are a few left editions on OpenSeas on secondary. I do want to just like brag how during the market crash, Artverse value has actually gone up and has stayed up. So we minted at 0.05, and I think the floor is at 0.2 right now, which I'm like, compared to everything else,
Hey, you're doing great.
I'm so proud of my my Artverse community. They've seriously been so incredible, and they're so talented. Like there's so many ideas where the people are like just flinging ideas back and forth, and I'm listening. I'm absolutely listening because I am not knowledgeable or an expert enough to just make these executive decisions. It really should be more decentralized because that's what Web3 is. But there needs to be
Absolutely.
order. There needs to be order and structure for
There,
sure.
there does. And that's the hard part is the excitement versus the order versus implementing.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, it goes to show you that people believe it. And honestly, that's exactly why I wanted you on, is because I believe in it. So I'm really excited. And you said June 15th will be a way to get in. Um,
Yes.
Fantastic.
Something's
So
happening.
that for all you waiting to get in artists, June 15th, or you can get a pass over on the OpenSea secondary market. There is, I'll put up on screen real quick, screen, and on the website, you can go here, right?
I believe
And
so.
yeah, let's see. Aha, look at that. And you
Yep,
can,
the next edition will not be the same image. So that is my Glacier Nights image. It's one of my most popular images I've ever created. I'm very proud of it. It's like the first time I threw up a drone in Iceland. But we might be doing something with the artist of Artverse for the next edition. We will see. I think it's a great way to promote an underrepresented artist or a small artist because now everyone has a piece of my work. 300 plus people own my work now. But if I can use the Artverse to promote someone else to get into 300 other people's wallets, I want to do that. So there's so many different details, different things to work out. But like the universe, the Artverse is expanding. And we don't know yet where it's going to go, what it's going to include, but we're all just hungry and willing and ready. So
wow.
very excited.
I'm excited for you. I definitely want to jump in. So, when this next edition comes in, I will be watching. I'm pretty sad that I didn't get in on time, but hey, I could still pick one up on the secondary. So, with that, thank you so much for coming on. The pleasure's all mine, of course. And I think it's amazing what you're doing. The excitement around the project is something that is contagious. There are people on Discord and also on YouTube saying how much they love you. Uh, and honestly, yeah, it goes to show you that you are really loved. And when I do hear you speak, it's very genuine. So it resonates with a lot of folks. And I do wish this project the most luck that it can get, because I think it's really cool.
No, thank you so much. It's uncomfortable for me to talk in front of a camera or, things like that, but if it's for other people, I absolutely will because I believe I am bullish, so bullish on these artists. I'm bullish on the community. I'm bullish on art in the metaverse. Um, that phrase, let's fucking go, I use it way too much. And I'm just so thankful that you have invited me on here and let me kind of ramble. I think I'm art first attracts the right people, and it attracted you, and I'm just so incredibly not fangirling that that you have taken notice. So thank you very much, very
Oh,
much.
you're welcome, and pleasure's all mine for sure. And with that, I think we'll end here and let you go to your next meeting. Yeah, I guess I gotta log on to this terrible other job. But yeah, we'll talk soon. And everybody, where you can find Artverse is, I'll put the links out, so don't worry about that. And then we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, bye everybody.